Hello, and welcome to UN News. My name is James May.
And I'm Richard Hammond.
And we are bringing you tomorrow's world news today.
We apologize for our change in location. However, our news station was overrun today by demonstrations for the Shah. As such, that will be our topic of discussion for today. Just 3 days ago, CIA operatives led by senior CIA officer Kermit Roosevelt Jr. executed Operation Codename TP Ajax in its plan to overthrow the Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh and replace him with Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, who is perceived by the Iranian people to be an American puppet. Insiders from the CIA say that although almost nothing went according to plan, Iranian officers who had been recruited by the CIA took control of a pro-Shah demonstration and helped to seize power for the new government. Notes from a leaked CIA meeting held yesterday revealed that the CIA had transferred over $5 million to help stabilize this new government and afford them some power. Many speculate that British intelligence agents were also involved due to the mutual interest between London and Washington to allow the AIOC, Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, to retain its monopoly over Iranian petroleum reserves.
What this actually means is that after the propaganda campaigns and bribery of officials in Iran to denounce Mossadegh, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi replaces Mossadegh as the ruling monarch of Iran, and Fazlollah Zahidi becomes the Prime Minister of Iran. The situation became shaky here after the Shah fled the country the day after Imperial Guard Colonel Nemallah Nasiri was arrested trying to arrest Mossadegh. Currently, all we can do is hope that the rioting and demonstrations calm down and that the new PM can take proper control of this country. Now for our correspondent in the field.
So Michael, what do you have for us tonight?
Hi, I'm Michael Hunt, live from Iran. Here we have Ahmed, who's agreed to answer some questions for the news station. Ahmed, what is your take on the coup that's going on right now? Do you support the US-installed Shah?
Of course not. I believe that we should be left to run our own government, and I think the Americans should stop meddling in our affairs.
But do you honestly think that Iranians could govern themselves?
Look, you Americans think that everyone is in awe of your famed democracy, but you don't realize that we were here long before you came, and we'll be here long after you leave.
But don't you...
God damn it. I hate my job. Fuck James.
Well, that was Michael Hunt.
And now for a special segment with Jeremy Clarkson.
Large mobs, most likely organized by the CIA, have been going through the street lately shouting against Mossadegh and so on. They have pumped up the opposition, and together with the British, they are making this peaceful transfer of power work. Now, it is the army and royalists who have taken control. An attack on Mossadegh's house was followed by his arrest, and he was overthrown by the mob on August 19th. This is the first successful overthrow of a government by the CIA. So, as you can see, the transfer of power has been successful and somewhat non-violent so far. Furthermore, the people greatly support the Shah, and we can likely foresee peaceful relations between the US and Iran in the future.
Here we are, back at the studio with our very own James May and Iranian expert Jason Rockwell, who has kindly agreed to join us for the discussion on Iran tonight. So, what can we foresee as being a major change in foreign policy with Iran now that the Americans have installed the Shah, which many people see to be just an American puppet?
Well, I think we can see that the return of oil rights to Britain and the United States and expect Iran to be very friendly with the United States. I think that we will see less nationalization and a greater amount of openness with the U.S.
I agree with that. The government will choose to expand more and be more open. However, even before the coup, the desire to nationalize the oil industry was very high, and especially since the workers themselves were unhappy with their low wages and bad working conditions.
But this does at least mean that the economic sanctions will be lifted and that trade with Iran will become more open.
Yeah, very true. Now, do either of you believe that this government has any chance of remaining in power if the CIA chooses to leave and let the Shah actually rule for himself?
Frankly, I think that the Iranian people have deeply rooted desire to rule themselves and a common dislike for America. And as such, I think that without the American government backing up the Iranians and giving them money to contrast the people, that soon we can predict an uprising or demonstrations to start in protest of America.
And I would disagree with that. I think that the Shah has had enough training, and with Fazl al-Zahidi as the prime minister, he shouldn't have a problem sustaining his rule and keeping the country in a more open and Western-oriented position than it was before.
Now, the Savak. Knowing that Zahidi was once arrested for his attempt to establish a pro-Nazi government during World War II, do you think that he will use the Savak to the same effect that Hitler used the SS? Or do you think that propaganda and possibly more subtle techniques will actually be enough to counter the anti-Shah and anti-American sentiments?
Personally, knowing his previous history, I believe that we will only see the Savak take more control and become more like the SS that we knew before. I feel that unlike the American government, they won't exactly keep these men on a short leash. I think that we can expect them only to become more brutal as the years progress and anti-sentiment increases.
I agree. I feel that at this point in the regime change, they don't have much of a point, since the CIA is dominating the demonstrations and producing pro-Shah propaganda. But I fear for the lives of Iranian citizens who choose to denounce or oppose the new government. Although they should be holding the Western standards, I feel that this will not be the case, and that the situation will only deteriorate, become more like the SS that we all know and hated.
So, opinions about how long you think this regime will actually last?
Well, the United States knows what the people want and is here to stay. Between them and the British, they have too much to gain from an Iran controlled by them instead of the nationalized state that would have been created. The Americans will do what they have to remain in power and keep trade open as long as possible.
I can't see this lasting for very long. The Arab people have a long memory and a long history of oppression and strife, and this is nothing different. I would give the Shah 10 years maximum, maybe longer, depending upon the severity and absolute control of the Shah and Zahidi. The harder they push, and the harder the Iranian people may push back. But then again, they might be too scared to do anything about it. We shall see as the events unfold in the next few weeks.
Well, thank you both for your opinions, and all I can say is that I hope this goes as smooth as possible, and maybe we can get our studio back in this coming week. Thank you very much. Good night.
All right. Well, that has been UN News, bringing you the world's breaking news today. Thank you for tuning in. I am James May.
And I'm Richard Hammond.
Signing off.